So I got a boy story for you, too. We are at the Portage County Fairgrounds. It's like a Friday night, and it's packed where all the rides are. Anyway, Leo's like 2 and potty training, and we're walking through by the Ferris wheel, and Leo drops his pants and starts peeing. The only thing I could think of doing is run away. So I left Lenny and his whole family.
My
Okay.
gosh.
So the running away.
Peeing. He dropped his pants and was peeing, and like Lenny's mom's there, Lenny's there,
my
Pappy's
goodness.
there. I'm gone. Like, see ya.
You're listening to the Calm,
The Storm.
The Whimsy
Podcast.
We're excited to be back with you this week, and we just wanted to touch base. So let's just talk about our weeks. Anything crazy happened this week? Anything out of the ordinary? Or did we do anything to make progress on our new challenge that we started last week?
Well, before we talk about the challenges, Crystal, I'm looking at you because we're angry at Kelly over there.
Yes.
Let's just share how Miss Prankster herself ruined our week. Let's talk about it.
So I don't even know where to begin.
She can't let anything happen.
Nope.
Nope. And it didn't happen.
Nope.
Nope, not gonna happen.
So
It's on.
I get this text message from Hillary, and she's like, Kelly's coming to my house to drop off eggs.
Not just
in
drop
the
off eggs.
yard,
Egg my
hide
yard.
them. And I feel like I need to scare her.
Scare the crap out of her. That's what I said.
And I was like, I'm in.
Yep.
So I left my house.
It was cold. It was dark.
And I was like, she can't see my van there. So I walked to Hillary's house.
Yep.
It was cold. It was dark. I turned my flashlight on because I was
Uphill
like, oh,
both
man.
ways.
Snow everywhere.
No snow.
No. And
So I have kind of a big yard. So we hide all the way. We started by the shed, but there was too many leaves.
it was making us too loud.
Yeah.
Like,
We were worried she would hear
hear
us and
us.
ruin it. So we went all the way back to the back of the yard. And what does Kelly do? Nothing. She stays in my driveway, hides eggs close by, and then gets in the car. And
This
leaves.
is the problem.
we're watching her. I'm like, she is getting in the car.
Shh, listen.
Shush me.
So this is what happened. Hillary said, I need to make sure the kids can't see you. So I was a little paranoid because they're like in the family room. They can see out the backyard. So I told all of my children, do not turn on a flashlight because they will see you. They're watching a movie right there.
Nobody would have known.
Well, I didn't know that. You didn't give me that warning. So I told them no flashlights. So they go, and I'm like, don't go back too far because you can't see. And it was really dark.
Oh, it was so annoying.
So they were like hiding these eggs. And then we hear coyotes. And I'm like, ooh, I'm not going back there. I'll stand right here. God, go ahead, kids.
Is that when you got in the car? Was that when you got?
No, I got in the car when we were done.
Uh-huh.
So where were you at? Because
I was standing in the driveway letting the kids hide the eggs. They're old enough
It's like
now.
the time the cop came during COVID. She heard coyotes. She's like,
She was like,
"Peace out."
bam, I'm out of here. See ya.
Oh, man.
Oh,
It
man.
was so annoying. We hid in the cold. I couldn't feel my toes.
We were in behind this big tree, and we were watching everything, and they never came that far back.
It wasn't that cold, but...
Oh.
Okay, we had been out there for like 30 minutes.
We were waiting for you to get there.
We had to get out there before you pulled into the driveway.
You should have started howling like a coyote.
I mean, didn't you hear me? That was me. No, actually, we both said at one point, we're like,
They're going to get us, yeah.
somebody's going to get us.
All I have to say is watch your back.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally
Ooh.
got in the car. We were running down the yard, and they were still leaving.
That cockiness makes me want to get her even more. She just said, okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about Easter egg hunts. So every year at the McKinney's house, the kids do their little Easter egg hunt, and it's all fun, and they try to find the eggs, and then there's the adult egg hunt, and then it's on. So I used to be the champion, but last year... Sadly, Ashley beat me. So this year, I'm like, that's it. I got my eye black out. I got my do-rag on. I'm going to take everybody down. But I didn't. I was not happy. I fought her. I
So she
pushed her
won.
down. And
She beat you?
she didn't win.
Who won?
See, this is what's the
What?
bad
Who
part.
won?
There's a golden egg. So whoever gets the golden egg wins, which is silly because it's like, where's one egg? You find that one egg, you're good. So Lenny finds the golden egg and he wins. And he's got like 10 eggs or whatever. But Ashley had
Oh,
like
so wait, he beat you?
450 eggs and I had like 12. And I'm like, cool. Good job, Ashley. Way to go. Next year, she's going down. I think I came in third place. Josh and I might have tied, but we beat Pappy, so.
Oh, poor
Pappy. Oh my goodness. So we talked about our challenges last week. Have you guys made any progress?
So I've actually made dinner every night
Okay.
this week, mostly in the crock pot. And I did make Mexican chicken tonight for my family, and they raved about it.
Whoa.
Gotta
Chris
take a
wishes
shot.
he was having dinner there tonight.
But with the other portion of my challenge was to try to do something active, and I've got on the treadmill 3 times,
Nice.
ran a half a mile. I thought I was going to die, and
On
then
the sun porch?
No, in my dungeon. Not my dungeon, in my basement. And then I boxed, because we have like a heavy bag, so I boxed. And then after day 1, I'm like, maybe I should take it easy on the boxing, because my hands hurt really bad. But
Oh, nice.
progress was made,
Yeah.
which is good.
Very good. Very good.
So I shared that I'm a comfort eater, and I was very stressed out one day. And just out of habit, what did I do? I bought junk. I bought a whole pack of cookie dough. And then I'm at home, and I thought, daggone it, I have to report to all these people that I have been counting my calories. So I decided not to eat it, and I made cookies for my family instead of hiding cookie dough and eating it all by myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very proud.
So, and there's been other times where I've really wanted to like snack or cheat, and I've chose a banana instead or like something healthy. So it actually has held me quite accountable.
That's awesome.
So I was actually told that my challenge of choice wasn't good enough
What?
And-
who?
by my husband. My challenge was to
run.
run a 5K
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And he told me that he was disappointed in me because I could go out and run a 5K right now.
Well, that's confidence
That
in
That
you.
is true.
So I am going to up it.
Okay.
So I'm going to run a 10K,
All right.
which is 6.2 miles
Sounds terrible.
by May 25th. I'm not going to run it in like a race. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to run 6.2 miles at one time, and I'm going to work up to that by May 25th. So, boo.
So if you need a depend, let me know. I can get you one.
See, I don't think you understand.
Yeah.
Runners pee and poop while they're running.
Oh,
It's
so
a
they
thing.
don't have to stop.
Do they wear depends?
They don't.
So-
Some may. Some may.
I'm sorry.
You usually see it running down their legs.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
They
we need
will
to go
not.
to these races to
Just to
watch.
watch.
Like a hardcore runner will not stop at a porta potty
No,
during a
thank
race.
you.
No, that's
No.
too much time.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yikes.
So I have never pooped while running.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Wow. Wow.
Not a lot. I know.
I haven't either. I haven't really ran anywhere, but
peed many times.
Oh my gosh. Well, this week we're going to talk about parenting. And it's not something that anyone has written a book about. It's something that plenty of people wrote books about it, I'm sure. But there's no guide that tells you how to perfectly parent. But we have a surprise for you tonight.
we do.
We are experts on parenting.
Oh,
Us
yeah.
three
Duh.
right
Yes.
here. We are going to give you all the how-tos. Everything you need to know. The advice you're getting tonight is like nothing you've ever heard. Right, ladies?
Right.
So
So,
our
Good,
Cash
bad.
App is
Good,
Yeah.
bad, and ugly.
yes. So obviously we don't have a handle completely on parenting, but we have plenty of kids between the three of us. So there's lots of good things we can talk about. Well, I mean, we are a lot of kids in by now. Mm-hmm. But what was it like the first time that you transitioned from single mama or single lady to, not single lady, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
All the single ladies. All the single ladies. All the single ladies.
First time you became a mom. How was that transition?
Okay, so I'll tell you my story. We were trying to have a baby. I lost 2 babies, so we got pregnant a 3rd time. And I started bleeding, and I thought we were losing the baby. So did Lenny. And we went into the doctor's office, and we were sure they were going to say, you're going to have another miscarriage. We weren't. They said, baby's fine. It's okay. It'll be fine. So, like, it was hard because we had such a long road of trying to get there. And then when we lost 2 babies, it was, like, super exciting to know that the baby was healthy and it was good. So it was just such a cool experience when she was actually born because we didn't honestly know if we could ever have a baby. So she's our miracle baby, Eliza. And it's just... It changed a lot. Like when you go from no kids to a kid, like you have this person that has to depends on you.
Yeah.
So
wasn't that during Mission Akron that you thought?
So I woke up and I was bleeding again, and we were like almost positive that I was going to lose the baby. I was on a mission trip in Akron with a bunch of people from our church. So I called and they're like, just stay, don't just be on bed rest till you can get into the office when we have an appointment. So the whole team came over and they prayed over me. Mm-hmm. And I just remember Lenny like crying out to God, like, how can this happen again? Like, and then everybody prayed over me and we went in and they were like, the baby's going to be fine. So she's our rainbow baby. So it was just such a cool experience to have a baby and hold a baby. And actually when it came down to it, they told me, you need a C-section. And I'm like, no. I was so mad. They're like, you're going to end up in labor forever, and then you're going to have a C-section. So I went to see another doctor, and they were like, yeah. I actually scheduled a doctor that did not like C-sections, and he goes, you're going to have a C-section. So I'm like, all right. And then when it hit me, I'm like, it doesn't matter how this baby gets here, just that she gets here. So I just had like a change in outlook, and it was just so exciting to have her here. But also very scary because you have this little person that depends on you. And
so was it an easy, like, emotionally for you to go from not being a mom to being a mom?
I think after everything I had gone through emotionally, it was an easy transition for me because I finally got to be what I had been longing for a long time.
You were seriously, like, kind of like super mom.
What?
Especially when it came to nursing. I admired you a lot through those phases of life.
Thank you.
I feel like my experience wasn't the same. I wanted to be a mom. I was excited to be a mom. But I feel like I've never really been good with, like, the newborn phases of parenthood. I always struggled emotionally. So something that people don't talk about enough is like postpartum and baby blues and things like that because you're afraid to talk about it, afraid people are going to think you're crazy, afraid just of the feelings and thoughts that you're having, but it's actually something that's pretty normal and something that you shouldn't be afraid to talk to somebody about that you trust or a doctor. But I honestly, like, if I'm being completely honest, my transition to parenthood was... like, I felt like I lost myself for a really long time. Like, probably a good year and a half because I refused to get help. It doesn't mean I didn't enjoy having a daughter, and it doesn't mean I didn't love that phase of life, but I just had a hard time, like, feeling like me anymore, and, like, what was my... like, I had been so involved in so many things that felt big for so long, and now I was home and, like... doing the same things every day, and so it was a challenge for me to change my lifestyle, I guess. But
But you had her after you led multiple mission trips.
I know.
So for you, maybe those seem like God's will for your life, and like you felt very purposeful.
Yeah.
But when you had her, you missed that. But yet your God's will was for you to pour into her. But it's just a hard transition to go from leading all these people and like directing them and taking them across the world to like do missions for God to here's this little baby that needs you every second.
Yeah. I actually said that to somebody today. I actually said those words, that we did all those mission trips and things, but our ministry changed to our children. It was just...
Yeah, like the new mission is children.
Yeah. But it was hard for me to see that because I did have postpartum and I wouldn't admit it. And so I made it a lot harder on myself, the transition. Kelly's smiling at me right now because she tried to tell me and I got mad at her.
She was so mad. I was just trying to help.
I was just like, I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm fine. You don't even know me.
It was in that exact voice, too.
That's why they call me the Storm. Did you feel like it was emotional or easy or?
So I feel like in the beginning, I found, you find out you're pregnant, and we were excited because it took us quite a while to get pregnant. And then during that time frame, I was fine. I was super healthy. Everything was good until the end. And then I had terrible high blood pressure. So it just kind of spun out of control. So like high blood pressure, you're having a baby 37 weeks, and we're inducing you, and you're going to have magnesium, and no one tells you that magnesium and being induced fight against each other. So then I was in labor for like 24 hours, 15 of those hours without an epidural. Jeez. And then I just decided, because I was going in there, I was like, I want the tub. I'm going to be having this all natural. Everything is going to be great. Not the case. And so I feel like that was like taken away from me at the time. But again, I was like, I just want to get this baby into this world because this is crazy. And so I ended up having a C-section. I was dilated for 6 centimeters for 24 hours, essentially. And I never went farther than 6 centimeters. So after 24 hours, they decided that I was going to have a C-section, and I was really upset about it. And so then I just remember, like, I didn't get to hold Pacey when he was first born, because when you have a C-section, you're still being worked on. So you're being sewed up, and everything's being put back where it's supposed to be. And so Aaron got to experience that actually with all 3 of our children. But, like, that first moment of having the baby, like, out of the womb, he got to hold him. He got to go over and, like, watch him be weighed and, like, all these things. And so that was kind of hard because I was like, I just always thought that I was going to have my baby, like, on my chest, and I was going to hold him and all those things. And it was great, and it was fine. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. Like, doesn't make me less of a woman. I used to think that, like, oh my goodness, I had a C-section, like, this is terrible. I couldn't even have a baby naturally. But in the end, like, I still have a baby. I have 3 kids now, and so that was just difficult.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, the most significant change for me, was when my milk came in, because I had so much, and it was ridiculous. And I was like, I don't know what to do with it. I couldn't sleep. Like, I would nurse my baby, and then I would pump 5 or 6 ounces on both sides after I fed him. And then I had like 100 ounces in my freezer by 1 month.
Oh, my.
It was insane. Like, I would wake up drenched. 24, like, no breast pad is going to help that. So, like, nobody tells you all that either. Like, oh, it's all going to come in and this is what it's going to be like, or it doesn't come in. And so that whole process of learning how to nurse and all of that was just really difficult for me. Thankfully, Pacey was a chill baby. So, like, that worked out, and he weighed 12 pounds at his first
Holy
appointment.
moly.
7 days.
Wow.
So I had plenty of food for him, and he was like chubby. But yeah, so it was just, we didn't do much different. We kind of just did our life the same. We just added him in. And so I think that was something that we have always done with the first one specifically was awesome because we would go like shopping at Walmart at midnight with our baby because he was on our schedule. And so like when we went to bed at 11 o'clock, Pacey went to bed at 11 o'clock. When I woke up, Pacey woke up. And so we just always did like these things. And when you have a second kid, that doesn't work that way. But the first one, we just really did that. And so it was just that transition. I wasn't working.
Yeah.
I was home for 12 weeks, and then I had to go back full time. But
So
It's funny how, like, as a new mom, you have these, like, expectations that you feel like you have to do in the labor process. Mm-hmm. So, like,
Yes.
there's so many women that feel, like, inadequate because I didn't get to do that, or I took an epidural and I shouldn't have done that, and I shouldn't have had a C-section. But, like, it doesn't matter. As long as the baby gets here, that's all that matters.
absolutely.
So, to any new moms out there, don't put such high expectations on yourself, and anything can happen at any minute. Just roll with it
Yep.
and just
Drop of
enjoy
a-
every minute of the experience, and don't beat yourself up.
And I think the same thing goes with parenting. When you get home, we have pressure that we put on ourselves, like, I want to function like this person does, or I want to be able to nurse the baby on the stage and nobody know. But, like, my body didn't work like that, and I couldn't function like that. So I think not putting pressure on ourselves to,
Right.
like,
And it's
comparing ourselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's okay to feed your baby formula because if your body's not doing that, then
Yep.
your baby needs to eat. And so
Yep.
it's just hard because we do put so much pressure on ourselves in all of the ways.
And even I was guilty before having kids of, well, when I have kids, I will never let them act like that, or I will
Oh.
never make that choice, or I will never do that. So, like, some people are going to be on a super strict schedule. Some people are not, so, you know, so I think it's all about just doing what works for your family and keeping your kids safe and doing your best to raise them.
I agree. I don't think that any book tells you that either.
Yeah.
Like every baby, every family is very different.
Yeah.
And so roll with it.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
works for you, and
Yeah.
don't let anyone tell you differently.
My baby's never slept. I was up like every
Oh.
hour and a half nursing them. It was
that's
crazy.
why.
My baby slept, baby.
Mine slept pretty well.
Yeah. Well,
All
they
three
didn't
of
go to
them.
bed till midnight, but I'm just kidding.
They went to bed when I went to bed.
Yeah.
And they woke up when I
I
woke
mean,
up.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
So, what things did you miss? Because you know what I missed? Eating hot meals.
Oh.
I
yeah.
feel like that's the one thing I missed.
that's hilarious.
Please, I just want to eat my food while it's still warm. But the more kids I get, the less chance I get to eat a hot meal.
And your
It was
dinner keeps
difficult.
getting pushed back later and
I
later.
know. And I think that's why, because I want to eat a hot meal in peace.
I want a hot meal. That's amazing.
And sleep, obviously. But my kids slept pretty well. Did
So
you?
the
I was just going to ask.
the only thing that I really missed was it's just hard, like, being responsible for multiple people besides yourself. So that's, like, one thing. Just trying to, like, be everything that they need all the time.
Yeah.
Like, instead of just worrying about yourself. But I wouldn't change it.
Do you remember what it was like you wanted to go somewhere? I want to go grocery shopping.
You just
You
went.
stand up, you put your shoes on, and you walk out the door.
Yep.
I don't even remember what that's like.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm starting to begin to understand what that's like again because my kids can stay home now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I know you don't.
Kid
No.
one, you have the diaper bag, the carts, the everything, the stroller. Kid four, it's like, I got wipes and a diaper, I'm good.
If you remember to take those. But when they get older, getting up to leave turns into, get off of that. Put that away. Get your I said to get your shoe. Where are your shoes? Why don't you just put them in the same spot? I said to put your shoes on. Like
Why are you
25
not
minutes
in
later.
the car? I
And
told
then
you to get in the
Just
car.
getting buckled. Why does getting buckled take 45 minutes? It's like, I could have been home by now if you guys could have fended for yourself.
Right?
You gotta buckle them all in, and then when they're old enough to buckle themselves in, they still can't do it. It's like,
No,
what
they're
is
like looking
happening?
at you like, well, what am I supposed to do
Buckle
now?
the seatbelt, guys. Come on.
Oh Did you?
Just buckle the seatbelt.
Oh my gosh.
It's not that hard.
She's very passionate about
She's
that.
super passionate. I think if I missed anything, so I really enjoyed becoming a mom and all the things that go along with it. I mean, obviously there's struggles and different things like that, but sleep.
Yeah.
I want to sleep in all the time.
Yeah.
And I just never got to anymore. I still don't, but...
Then when you try, they you wake up and their face is like an inch away from you. You're like, yeah!
They're like, why aren't we
Hi,
up?
it's
I want to eat
6:30,
breakfast.
let's get up.
I'm hungry. Why aren't you making me breakfast?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you serious?
They think
This
it's our
is
job
Saturday.
to take care of them or something.
You are old enough to grab a bagel or something.
Oh my goodness. So I looked some things up because I was super curious about if parents all around the world do things the same or not. And I have to share some crazy things that I found, okay?
Ooh, interested.
In Denmark, they leave their strollers with the baby in them outside while they dine and shop.
I want to move to Denmark. That must mean it's safe there.
I don't know if
Not
that's
that
what
I
it
would leave
means.
my baby in the stroller,
Wait.
but I would like to live there if people just trust leaving their baby out.
It's like they're lined up sleeping.
All
Let's
the
take
babies.
this podcast to Denmark.
Wait. Oh my gosh.
I'm so confused by this.
I
And
know.
no one takes the babies?
No.
That's terrible. What if they cry?
I don't know. They must be trained to just sleep.
Trained?
I don't
It's
know.
like, hey, I'm going to dinner. Shh.
Well, they don't have
Don't
to
cry.
shush them because they're outside.
Oh my goodness. That is such an interesting
Yeah.
concept.
In Kenya, they do not make eye contact with the babies
Aw.
because it shows power and makes children, like if you make eye contact with them, it says it makes them attention seeking.
That's so sad.
Wow.
In Guatemala, they take baths in cold water to avoid heat rash and restful sleep.
Cold plunging. I hear that's a
Maybe
good thing.
that's
I mean, it's
actually
hot there.
because my poor child has eczema like crazy. I thought about trying it. He might not like it.
He might scream at you.
Yeah. Okay, this one was crazy. In Germany, they drop toddler-age kids off for camping trips without their parents to learn confidence. Like,
Toddler?
yeah. I think there's other adults there, but they just drop their toddlers off and leave for camping trips with, like, other adults to teach confidence.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no thanks.
Oh, and in Norway, they nap outside in sub-zero temperatures. In
It's like your
Vietnam,
bedroom, Hillary.
Vietnam, probably, they potty train by 9 months.
Whoa.
And in Japan, at 4 years old and up, they start to take the subway on their own and run errands.
No, absolutely not. You know what my kid would come home with at 4? She'd have all the ice cream and all the root beer for all the root beer floats. That's it. We would have nothing else to eat but root beer floats.
I don't think my kid would know how to get home because they know mom doesn't have any sense of direction. They have to
They
learn it
probably
themselves.
are paying attention.
Yeah, I just thought all that was crazy.
That is really crazy.
They call me a helicopter mom. Like, all of that stuff gave
That's
me
kind of scary.
crazy high anxiety. But I found it in multiple places because I was like, is this real?
real?
Yeah.
So I wonder why we're so protective here. I mean, we got some crazy things that go on, but like
Yeah, well, because
other countries have crazier things that go on. Kenya,
Yeah.
all those places have crazy things.
Yeah, well, only 2 of those places are kids, like, alone, though. Left alone.
True. The rest of them are just training processes.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Any of those things you wish we could do here?
No, I'll pass. That's
Yeah.
scary. Woo.
I don't.
Except for the cold water bath, maybe. If it helps with
I mean,
skin.
if it's gonna help with eczema, I think
I
you should
don't
try
like
it.
cold water. No thanks.
You're not gonna ice
No
plunge?
cold plunge for me.
No
Give me a
cold?
hot tub.
Yeah, but it's probably
Sauna.
not good for your skin. That's why they do it. Hot water isn't good for your skin.
Really?
Really,
It dries your skin out.
That's my
She's
problem.
like, don't care.
which is probably why we shouldn't wash our faces with hot water.
So,
Feels so much better though.
boys versus girls, how many do you have of each?
2 and 2.
2 boys, 1 girl.
I have 3 girls.
I'm sorry.
And 2 boys, but they're all going to be teenagers at the same time. 3. teenage girls?
I'm gonna have 2 teenage boys.
Oh,
I don't know which one's worse.
Our teenage boys and girls together is what's worse. What's your difference between boy momming and girl momming? Do you see a big difference in it?
So it's funny because I think that we have raised our boys to be super independent and vocal and all the things that are boy. And Letty is trained the same way.
Yes.
And so it's interesting to me when when we were like thinking about these questions that we were going to talk about and stuff. And I was like, I think that my boys and girls have the same parenting style. Again, I think it will change as they get older.
Yeah.
So the boys are, 13 and 11. So as they get older, there will be different parenting styles. And I do have to parent them different right now. A little, we have like video games that the boys are doing all the time. And Letty's really not into video games. But across the board, she is definitely.
I guess I feel like it's drama versus keeping them alive. Like boys, I'm like, you're gonna harm your body. What are you doing? You're too brave. You're fearless. Girls, it's like, you looked at me funny, and now I'm gonna cry in the corner over here. At least in my house.
Yeah.
My girl, I'm afraid for her life as well. So, like, she's, like, all in.
Well,
Terrifying.
right. So I wonder if that's because you have older boys.
I wonder.
Because my boys, I think, are gonna... They are a little more sensitive sometimes just because, well, one of them, obviously the other one is because he's 9 months old. But just when you're you're raised with older sisters versus older brothers, I think you just function differently.
Right. I agree. I think it's interesting.
Here's a funny story about Naomi. Like, I have Eliza, then 2 boys, and then Naomi is the baby. So
all stories about Naomi are funny stories.
She's witnessed the boys, they always pee on this tree in our backyard. So when she was like 2, she would act like she's peeing on the tree. I'm like, what are you doing? Yep, she just thought she was one of the guys.
Oh my god!
So she was trying to stand there and put her belly out and was trying to pee on the tree.
Well, I've seen you pee like that.
Oh,
so.
okay.
That's amazing.
So we don't really parent them differently as of right now, but it's funny because the world's like, the boys have to be tough and you can't show emotion and you can't do this and you can't do that. But we don't make them feel like that. Like if they need to feel emotion, they don't have to be tough all the time.
Yeah.
Right, let those tears flow.
Well, and I think that's
good.
an attractive quality.
Absolutely.
When you have a man that can show that later on down the road.
Well, it just shows kindness, like, and where your heart is. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So another thing about parenting a boy, my son, I have to tell you guys a story. Well, you both know the story. So, listeners, I have to tell you the story. So, nakedness. Are your boys obsessed with being naked? Nope, just mine. Cool. So I will never forget, we went to McDonald's Play Place, and we were in like a nice McDonald's Play Place, like a good area. It was before a Wednesday night church. It's packed with people from church. I mean, it was packed. Crystal was there.
It was packed.
And I don't think we didn't know each other very well then.
I think that was like one of the second or third times maybe that we hung out.
Yeah. And
and there was other people that we knew.
I can't even remember. I think Hudson was like 3 years old at the time. And I was always so weirded out by them taking their socks off in the McDonald's Play Place. Like
This was pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID. You know they're touching everything, but I just didn't want them to take off their socks. Don't take off your socks. So I told him, looked him in the face and said, buddy, do not take off your socks. Okay. So they go up to play, and all of a sudden I hear squealing happening, and Tori busts down out of the play place, starts running towards me with Hudson's pants in her hand. And I was like, oh no. And she's like, Mom, Hudson's taking his clothes off up there. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Was he dancing on the pole too?
No.
Oh my gosh.
So I take off. I go up into that play place, and I get to him just as he is pulling his underwear down. He's
my
surrounded by a group of girls who are giggling and laughing. His shirt's off.
Oh.
His pants are off. His underwear are about to come down, and I looked at him and I said,
Keep
Hudson,
those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle undies on.
don't you dare take those off. And he looks at me with the whitest eyes and goes, but Mom, I left my socks on.
Oh.
Oh
he
my
did.
gosh.
He did exactly what you said.
He sure did. So I have learned you have to give way better instructions.
Yes.
Because he
They will
did follow
find
the rules.
loopholes.
Yeah. And the worst part is all these parents are like dying. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, my son is very tall. So I'm like, I know he looks
Oh
like
my
he's
goodness.
12, but he's 3. So sorry about my naked son in the play place.
Well, I have a story for you. So we were living at a camp, and my husband was working there, and my son Strider.
It's always Strider.
It's always Strider. Was standing on the deck outside, and this group of girls, like a cabin of girls, was coming down the hill, and he dropped his pants and peed off the deck in front of everybody coming down.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like,
Sounds
oh
like
my
Naomi.
gosh. Right?
So I
my
got a
gosh.
boy story for you too. So we are at the Portage County Fairgrounds. It's like a Friday night, and it's packed where all the rides are. Pretty sure I ran into you guys that day. Anyway, it was like
we
2.
ran into each other
Yeah, he's like
multiple times there.
He's like 2 and potty training. So we have Ike in the stroller and Leo there and Eliza, and we're walking through by the Ferris wheel, and Leo drops his pants and starts peeing. The only thing I could think of doing is run away. So I left Lenny and his whole family.
My
Okay.
gosh.
So the
He's
running
peeing.
away,
It's a habit.
she runs from trauma.
She does. She runs from being
He was
embarrassed.
peeing. He dropped his pants and was peeing. And like Lenny's mom's there, Lenny's
Oh,
there,
my
Pappy's
goodness.
there. I'm gone. Like, see ya.
You left
Peace
him.
out. I did. Well, he was with his dad, so his dad could deal.
Oh,
I remember a time when you ditched us.
yeah. We just talked about
We
that.
just talked about
the
it.
cop, the coyotes,
Yes.
and her poor son. So what about, do you have other stories?
Okay, so I want to just tell a funny, like, parenting story. Like, when they just say something, they're like, oh my gosh. So we were at a funeral for somebody at our church, and Ike was like 2 years old. Like, one of those moments that you're like, oh dear. So anyway,
Oh, dear.
like those unfiltered childhood moments. So
Yeah.
we're walking up to the casket, and we're, paying our respects. And Lenny walks up with Ike, and he goes, who killed her?
Stop. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
He said, who killed her? And Lenny had to explain.
And you ran away.
Probably ran away.
Lenny had to explain. You ran away. Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, good old
My
Ike.
gosh.
2-year-old Ike thought, who killed her?
I'm going to tell you a story about me and my dad.
Uh-oh.
So, there was this guy that lived 2 houses down from us when we were growing up. And my dad had grew up in the house that we were living in. So he knew this man his whole life also. His name was Richard. And one day we were walking and he was outside. And so my dad waved. And I looked up at my dad and I looked at him and I was like, hi, Dickie Poo. My dad had nicknamed him Dickie Poo. And my dad was so upset with me
Because he didn't know that was
he
his
didn't
nickname.
know that was his nickname. And so I had just outed my dad.
Oh,
Oh!
that is amazing.
And it was hilarious. But I didn't know. I was like 5 years old. I didn't know that's all I ever knew him as. I only knew him as Dickie Poo because that's what my dad called him.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness.
Yep.
Is there anything as you were parenting that you're like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this? Like something that stood out? Like one time...
we shouldn't be doing
Maybe
yeah,
you
like
should
a
give us an
parenting-
example before I out myself.
A parenting fail.
Yeah.
So like Liza was just she was really little, and we started arguing in front of her. And I don't know, she's our first kid. We don't know what we're doing. So we got in this argument, and poor Eliza, she's probably 2.5, goes, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o.
Aww.
And it broke our hearts, and we're like, we can never argue in front of our kids
yeah.
again, because she didn't know what to do with it, because she's never seen it before.
Sweet girl.
So from then on out, like whenever we need to discuss something or argue about something, it's never in front of the kids. We never do that.
Yeah. That is something that we're pretty cautious about as well.
Same. I mean, we have definitely argued in front of our children, and then our children are very upset, and so we try very hard not to.
Yeah, same. Oh,
Poor Liza.
Spaghetti-o. Oh, Liza.
Oh, man. So I have to go back real quick to, I guess this is a parenting fail, plus kids say crazy things. So talking about safe touch with your kids is super important, okay? And teaching them the right language to use, because if there ever is a time where they need to talk to you about something, you want them to be able to very easily identify, like, what is the problem or what is wrong. And so often we say things that, like, hoo-ha, or you call things something, a different name. But it actually is very important to teach them. So anytime my kids had, like, anybody watching them and they were potty training, I had the safe touch talk with them. Not because I was afraid of anybody doing anything to them that was there, but just because I wanted my kids to be aware at a very young age, like, what's okay and what's not. So they're potty training, and I said, only you're allowed to wipe yourself. Like that. I was very clear with that. And that's literally all we talked about, was when you go to the bathroom, you have to wipe yourself. So Grandpa comes over to watch my kids, and my daughter, as confident as can be, stomps out towards him, walks right up to him, looks him right in the eye, and says, "My mom said you're not allowed to touch my vagina." And he looks at me, and I was like, oh gosh, because I didn't want him to think I'm sitting there telling her, don't let Grandpa so-and-so. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, all I did was tell her when she goes to the bathroom to wipe herself. And that's what she said.
Goodness.
Oh my goodness.
So it's kind of a mix, because I think it's important to teach them those things, to talk
Absolutely.
through it. But she humiliated me.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
So do you parent your children different than you were parented? And if so,
Ooh, she adding questions.
I am. If so, what is different? I'll go first.
Okay, sounds great.
So when I was growing up, it was, I know it all, I say it all, you listen to me, you don't have a voice. Like, I'm a parent. This is what we do. That's just the generational thing that was, like, passed down. So when I started parenting, that's what I would do. Like,
Okay.
But it just wasn't working out so good. And Lenny's like, why do we have to be like this? Not that my parents were mean or anything. They had the last word. They always were, like, right all the time. Like, you didn't really have a voice.
Because I said so.
Yep. It was because I said so. So Lenny started, like, you need to listen to their argument. Let them try to negotiate, figure out what they're saying, and listen to the stories. And I'm like, what? But it's true. Like, I just never took the time to do that. So I've been trying to, like, if they're like, but Mom, I'm like, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. No, I need to listen to their side of the story and let their voice be heard. So I'm really trying to let their voices be heard. Mm-hmm. And then, like, one thing that we do is we want to love and teach them, but we also want to, more importantly, teach them to hear God's voice and God's convictions and God's encouragements. Because ultimately, when they're on their own, we want them to hear his voice, not ours, saying, you can't do that, you can't do this, because we are raising PKs, which are preacher's kids, which have to be this perfect person. And from the very beginning, Lenny's like, I don't want them to feel like they have to be perfect because it's going to put these expectations on them that they'll just never feel like they're good enough. So,
I mean, the only other thing I would add to that is, why am I saying no? So I ask myself that a lot, because my initial response to a lot of things, no. But then I say, but why? Why am I saying no to that? Do I actually need to say no to that? And then also the one thing that is different is I'm not really a spanker, and I got spanked. I mean, we got spanked. That was another thing, but I don't like to do that, not because I'm saying that it's wrong if people do that, but I feel like it's too easy for me to do it when I'm angry. So I just don't really like to do it. So if you could leave everybody tonight with your best parenting advice that you have learned along the way, what would it be?
My best parenting advice would honestly be try to let them have a voice, because I'm too easily, because I'm with them 24/7, too easily no, you can't do that. I don't want to hear it, blah, blah, blah. And I yell a lot. So my biggest parenting advice would be just to listen to their heart, what's upsetting them, what their negotiations are when they're in trouble, just to try to hear them.
So some advice from the calm would be to be calm.
I need that advice.
Remain calm. Remember that life doesn't stop. It just continues. You're just adding someone to your family. I also think that it's very important to, this would just be for first-time parents, or just that you enjoy those first couple weeks of life, because it's easy to get caught up in the busyness and to not recognize the moment that you're in, and that moment is important. So really those first 6 weeks are if you're working, so then you're home, and you just take in all of those moments, because when you have your second child, those moments are not there.
Right.
And it's not the same. Now, it's different, but it's just not the same.
Yep.
So as a first-time parent, just take in all of the moments.
That's great advice.
My first one's kind of silly, but I would say do not punish your children with things that are worse punishments for you than they are for them. Because sometimes it's really easy just to throw that out there and then be like, shoot, I didn't actually want to give that punishment out.
I'm going to take your video games away.
Right.
But also, it's kind of like what you were saying, each phase of life is very precious and different, but I'm already looking at my almost teenager, what in the world, how did we get here? And there's a lot of good things about the phase of life we're in, but I look back and I did struggle for a while with not getting help with certain things, to adjusting to parenting, and I'm like, I did miss a lot of the first year of her life because I didn't know, I don't know. So it's just important to reach out to people if you need help. Also, don't feel like you're alone, because we're all trying to figure it out together. So I would just say, as we leave everybody with this tonight, maybe just more than anything, don't be too hard on yourself. If you need to ask for forgiveness from your kids, that's okay.
Yeah,
it shows them that we're not perfect, and we have to apologize as well. And really just don't be too hard on yourself.
Thank you for listening to the Calm, the Storm, the Whimsy podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay tuned for our next episode.
gosh.
Bless you.
I keep sneezing.
I'm gonna burp.
I'm gonna sneeze.
Everybody get it all out. Rock back and forth.
Is that gonna help my sneezing?
No, but the burping. You look at the light.
What?
Look at the light.
Is that like an old wives' tale?
I don't know.
If you look at the light, you stop sneezing.
You got it out.
It worked.
goodness.
That's for real.
Okay, I'll look at the
So
light.
I rock back and forth, and you look at the light, and we'll get all the things out.
The light. Okay, I'm good.
I feel like you're kind of aggressive tonight.
Aggressive?
Are you going to take me out?
Aggressive. Be aggressive. Or as Letty would say, be aggressive. Be aggressive.
That's amazing.
Go, get 'em. And when you get 'em, say, ooh. So many cheers.
What is happening?
Okay.
This is what happens when we just wing it.
Yeah, that's why I like to be prepared, people.